Now, everything old is new again. America's entertainment pop culture talk show with Douglas Viviani and David Cohen.
I'm Walter O'Brien. I run a team of geniuses who handle worldwide threats only we can solve.
Welcome back to Scorpion, everyone.
Together, we're Scorpion.
Did it work? Once again, if it hadn't, we'd be dead by now.
Welcome to Everything Old is New Again. This is Douglas Viviani with the aficionado himself, David Cohen.
Yes, when it comes to television and wasting time, I am the king.
I'll tell you, we begin this new television season. There's so much hope and promise, right? For the new shows, or the shows, I should say, that we know already, but the new season of shows to see and experience with our friends and family. The question is, what show will be that one or two that grabs your attention so much so that you can't miss it, that you... Not only you're not going to DVR it, whatever, you're going to watch it at that time, or at least want to binge watch it, maybe the past that you've missed, a couple seasons, and now you say, I got to catch up to this show. I mean, what's up?
And let's say it right out here. We are experiencing the golden age of television. I know maybe there have been a past golden age, but this is the golden age of television. There are so many shows and so many great shows that it's hard to navigate your way through them.
Yeah, I mean, I just talk about, Fear the Walking Dead, Game of Thrones, even like a family show like Dancing with the Stars. I mean, you've got shows out there. Dancing with the Stars, like it or not, is 23 seasons long.
I know. They do 5 shows a year. But...
no, they do 2 seasons a year, so it's 12 years. I mean, it's
a long time. Yeah.
You've got, but you've also got shows that we're going to try to point out to you and see that are maybe not so popular right this second, but have been on for a couple of years.
Not the obvious ones that everyone hears about.
Right, and maybe it might be time. How sometimes you catch you. Well, let's say for a couple of years now you've heard about a show, but you've never dived into it. You never really saw what was the attention-grabbing factor of it, whatever. And now you say to yourself, you know what? I'm hearing about the show so much. I've got to either ignore these people or dive in and binge watch the first 2 seasons or something, because I got to see what this is about, and then catch up to the new season. So I think these shows are possible binges for you, because they're entering the second, third, fourth season, and it's time to really maybe, take a chance.
Right. And listen, you're living your life. You don't have to live your life. You don't need a life. You have so much good television. That's our point. Right? You don't,
you
people
watch
say,
everybody else living their lives.
Right. What am I doing with my life? You're watching TV, man.
Exactly.
That's good. That's good.
And then if you come up with an idea, you could be on the radio and you talk about it left and right. Speaking of which, do you remember, Mr. Gandolfini from Sopranos, right?
Yeah, I think
unfortunately, he passed away. But
Right.
while he was wrapping up The Sopranos, he came across something called The Night Of, and he was going to be cast in that, and he was going to produce it. He was way behind it. He loved it, and he passed away. So John Turturro stepped up to the plate, and he did a first season, which was only going to be supposedly 1 season. You tell me if you've heard that they're looking to renew this.
I've heard rumors. I don't know if they're true, but I think they want to renew it just based on how successful it was.
So if you haven't seen it, it was an HBO project. Here's just a little piece of it to introduce you to it.
Explain to me what I'm not understanding.
It looks like I killed her, I know that.
That's how it looks. But it's not that simple, is it?
I want to tell you something, and it's the most important thing you'll ever hear in your entire life. Don't talk to anybody anymore. Shut it.
All right, now that was a little introduction to it. It's a what would you say, a detective story with at the end it ends up with a trial of an individual that may or may not have committed a particular crime.
The way they set it up is you look like there could not be any other person committing this crime other than this kid, and it goes from there.
And
who says he didn't do it? By the way.
And what'd you think of it? Well, I mean, it was the talk of the town for a while, I think.
It was. I thought it was great. I don't know how it would come back or in what form it would, but yes, highly recommended if you haven't seen it.
All right, so there's one. There's also Mr. Robot. You can give that a shot.
What I'm about to tell you is top secret. A conspiracy bigger than all of us. There's a powerful group of people out there that are secretly running the world. And now I think they're following me. But I'm a vigilante hacker by night.
What do you want from me?
You sense something wrong with the world. You know it controls you and everyone you care about.
This is it. Time.
All All right, now I don't know, cut it off there a little bit, but it's you've seen this, you've enjoyed this. Christian Slater is in this.
Yes,
it's a hacker on a computer that finds out that, like, the 1% of the 1% are controlling basically what's going on in the world.
Right?
And they basically steal the money, a lot of money from these people, grab their attention, and then the adventure begins. You tell me.
But it's mostly about this hacker, this kid, who's really good at what he does, and he gets recruited, and the show keeps you guessing a lot about what is truth and what's not truth. And Mr. Robot, played by Christian Slater, we're still not sure if does he exist? Does he not exist? Is he just a figment of this kid's imagination? He's a very troubled kid, the main character, and of course the actor's name just totally escapes me now. But I can say a couple of things about this. One, it's a really great show. It keeps your interest. New topic that we haven't seen before. What the hackers do, and I happen to know this because believe it or not, one of the things I'm familiar with the hacking industry, believe it or not. And what I've been told is this show is spot on in terms of the technology and what they're talking about and how people hack into things. So it's current, it's true in terms of what they're doing. And the writing's great, directing's great, just a phenomenal show. So I highly recommend it.
But now the villain per se, or the corporation that's the villain, is that something that's outrageous, or is it possible that this kind of a situation
you don't know?
Happening?
That's the great thing about the show. You're really not sure what's going on and what's reality and what's not reality, and everything is possible. And it's kind of reflective of, sort of the paranoia that we're going through now with cybersecurity and terrorism, and you don't know what people are capable of doing. And I think that's what the genius of the show is. It kind of taps into that.
All right, so it gets you thinking at the very least, we're saying, right?
Yes.
All right, so give that one a shot, and then there's this one that's been a phenomenon, Stranger Things.
Will is missing. I don't know where he is.
99 out of 100 times, kid goes missing. The kid is with a parent or a relative.
What about the other time?
What?
You said 99 out of 100. What about the other time? The one.
All right, Winona Ryder is a mom who loses her son in the 80s, riding his bike to his buddies, and he disappears. And then his buddies also are concerned, and they undertake a search for this child. And there's a Spielbergian element to this. It takes place in the 80s. It has that kind of feel to it where the kids are involved in the adventure as well as the adults. I don't know if you grabbed the attention of this one. Have you?
I want to see it because my son binge watched it with his girlfriend, and they loved it. So I want to see it too. It was very buzzworthy over the summer, this past summer.
Right. This is a Netflix.
Yeah.
And I mean, Netflix is coming up left and right with flip movies.
I know.
Because I think also the other side is if you look at Netflix, they're losing a lot of movies to these, like CBS is pulling back all their movies and their products and all that. So you no longer can go on Netflix and pick up any movie you want, which you used to be able to do.
No,
so they're being smart and saying we're going to create our own stuff.
Exactly.
And I'll tell you, this is something that's worthwhile to see. I have to say that I don't think it's as great as it could be.
Okay.
There's a lot more that can happen here. Again, these shows, but
it's coming back, right? It's not just going to be this one season.
It's coming back. The theory of it is very interesting. The child's not ruining anything. The child is not dead. He's somewhere that's unexpected. There's also a parallel universe where there's maybe something going on there with some evil being that broke through and is getting involved in this world. So there's that element. My 7-year-old wants to watch, or at least she's interested in it because she's heard about it, but she knows it's not appropriate for her. For
it's a little
sure.
Scary, right?
Definitely not appropriate for her. But 15-year-olds plus, it's something that it caught on, and it's interesting.
You're listening to Everything Old is New Again, America's entertainment pop culture talk show with Douglas Viviani and David Cohen.
So you really want to dive into
I hate
what's going on.
There's so many good shows out there. How do you allocate? I mean, like I have no life, so I can do it. But I'm saying the average person. How do you? That's what we're here to do. We're here to help you sift through all this stuff and cut to the chase.
Exactly, and these three, I think, or four are worthwhile. Certainly, we didn't talk about Scorpion, which started our 7 seasons already.
Right.
Great show. We're investigating and taking a look at television shows that you may not have seen that have been on for a while, that are continuing, and maybe you want to go back and revisit and grab some ownership of these shows. Have you seen a lot of Family Guy or not?
I have seen several episodes of Family Guy, and what I can say about Family Guy is I think at times it's hilarious, but more often than not, it's not.
Interesting. Is it even funny, though? It doesn't have to be hilarious.
No, that's what I mean. There's no... It's either, I think, really brilliantly funny or just not funny at all. It's a phenomenon to me.
Right. Well, there was our Star Trek reference anyway, so
there you go. You got it in.
It's worth a shot. Take a look at maybe what you do is pick and choose topics, because they do topics of like.
I just go on YouTube and look at the funniest clips.
Right.
That's what I like.
You can go in and see the topic of this week. They're talking about whatever, and Shatner's a guest star.
That's true.
I'll check into that
right,
one.
Right.
I just want to continue for a moment on our prior section. We spoke about Night of the Mr. Robot and Stranger Things. We kind of overlooked the Scorpion, which started the show, the clip from Scorpion. And just briefly, I think that it's a very fun, unique show that is worthwhile. It has some heart, and it's based upon a real guy, and it's a team overcoming these obstacles that you don't think they ever could overcome. Maybe become somewhat unrealistic at some point in time, but I don't know if you're into that one or not.
Yeah, no, I like Scorpion. I think it's what's great about it is it's a family show. A lot of the shows we've been talking about that are not necessarily on the networks, the main networks, could be violent, could have sexual situations that might make you a little uncomfortable watching it with your kid.
Right.
But although it could be a little violent, this show, Scorpion, I think it's one of the few really fun family shows.
Right, and done differently, and each member of this team has something to do, and there's also interaction socially. So I don't know, there's some.
And they're a bunch of underdogs, right? Just so you kind of have to root for them. So it's cool,
right? And it's a function this year. I think they need to develop the characters and push them forward and give them some different situations. Then this is the end of the world again. That we're saving the world again from a nuclear attack. There are other things that could possibly happen that they could save the day.
True,
as well, maybe a bank failing or something. You know, it doesn't have to be the end of the
white
world
collar
all
crime.
the time,
Yeah.
right? All right, let's give it a shot. There's other comedies out there. We could try. I don't know if you've heard of New Girl with Zooey Deschanel.
I'm living with 3 guys I met on the internet, and yeah, stranger danger is real.
I mean, she. That's this premise of the show. It starts. It's got to be season 5 now.
Oh, at least it's been on for 25 years.
It is quirky. I think it's funny. I tune in all the time to see it. I don't build my life around it, but I do think that, when it's on, I'll tune it in and I'll get a laugh or two. This season, I'm struggling. They might be losing their way a little bit this year, but take a look at last year's couple of, there are some funny things in it. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah. I don't really agree.
Not a big fan.
Not really.
At all.
No. Let's next clip.
Someone's watching it. All right, let's try Blackish trying its second season.
We fought too hard for these kids. They have nothing left to struggle for.
Can't that be a good thing?
No.
Here we go. Blackish.
I'm giving you the gift of hunger.
Does it come with a receipt? Because I'd like to return it.
It was last season's #1 new comedy.
Don't get all caught up in this having open dialogue with your kids hoopla. It's not natural. Show me one place in the Bible where a kid talks.
Wait, what?
Everything old is new again, taking a look at Blackish. What do you think? Wow, you're not a fan.
So overrated. I'm looking at it purely as a sitcom, okay?
Right.
Now, I know it's breaking ground. I get all that. I appreciate it, but to me, if the show is not funny, I'm not going to watch it. And to me, the show is just not funny.
Here's the thing. This show, did you see the first season?
It's just like hacky. It's very hacky. For a show that's supposed to be so groundbreaking, the comedy is very old school and not funny.
Well, I will say this. The first season was, I don't know if groundbreaking is way too strong a word for this. It was different. It was a different take.
The subject matter is different.
It's an ethnic family that's, looking at things and the parents are having trouble. Almost like a modern, what was the one with the Keatons?
Family Ties.
Family Ties. Almost kind of like there's a clear difference in culture between the parents and grandparents and the children, and kind of quirky and funny in that way. But I think they took a turn where they took themselves seriously and started to think they needed to make social commentary. Am I wrong?
No, you're absolutely right.
And then all of a sudden dove into the world of serious social commentary. And I don't think they've come back from that.
Which is okay for a lot of people.
Yes,
I'm not saying that's
but not
bad.
for a comedy that started out as the Keatons kind of.
If I'm putting them on a comedy, I want to laugh. I do keep it light. You know what I mean? If it's going to be a drama, make it a drama. I don't like the crossover stuff. Just doesn't work for me.
All right, so that's what I agree with. So maybe they could reel it in and go. It's almost like the Goldbergs becoming, political, where they take a side in an election or something. You're going to turn people off, and like, what? Why are you doing this? It's like I say, it's an escape. You can, though. I mean, we have to admit, you can have comedies that have social fabric to them, social commentary in them, but that's they're kind of preaching to you when they do these social stories. Am I wrong?
I think so. It could, I don't want to be preached at.
Right.
So
it's not done in something that's very esoteric here. But that's a tough thing to do a comedy that has a social meaning.
And these are just our opinions.
Right.
Obviously it's very successful, but
right. Well, we're hoping that they take a turn and maybe say, well, let's try to be funny again.
Yeah,
does that make
that'd
sense?
Be nice. Or just try to be funny.
Right. Or if you want to be serious, then we'll just take the turn and be serious. And that's fine too.
Yeah.
But to do it in between and not decide, that's usually where you get yourself into trouble. Unlike the Goldbergs, my favorite. Here we go.
Dirty Dancing makes everything better.
Lame! There's only one dance movie in this world, Footloose.
Go to your room right now.
I forgot about the other greatest dance movie of the 80s.
Lick off your Sunday spoons.
This song's not about ice cream.
Team Footloose or Team Dancing? New Goldbergs.
Problem with the Goldbergs. What's going to happen when they hit upon all the movies that were iconic in the 80s, all the fads that were iconic in the 80s?
They're running out of material. Right?
I don't think they are yet, but just throwing it out there, I would assume if you're in a show from a certain genre and every show is based upon this, they're doing this a lot now with the Breakfast Club and different movies, which I love. I love this. Dancing with the Stars. I mean, I'm saying Dirty Dancing and all that, but are we stuck, or will they get stuck because they're going to lack the material? They've done shows in the past of just on Thanksgiving and not gotten involved with the time element. So if they get back to that or don't, they're going to run out of material sooner or later if they keep on doing that. These shows have been great. There's nothing wrong. I think it's been great for the beginning. Dave has a different opinion, but at this point in time, I'm just concerned that they're locking themselves into the 80s too much. Break away a little bit and just, every week is a different fad from the 80s, and I just think sooner or later you run out, and then where do you go?
Right.
Because they're doing like 22 a season, so that 4 seasons in, that's 88 different topics.
Yeah, that's
but then again,
point.
because everything old is new again. We have the whole world, the whole history of world.
They only have the 80s.
They only have the 80s. So, but I love the way they do it. I think it's great. I know you make fun, but they have the humor, and then at the end they wrap it up with a nice social.
Oh, yeah,
now there's a message there, but they do it well.
I'm not saying it's a bad show. It's a cute show. It's cute. It's a good show.
Well, what do you have against it?
It's not. Again, I always get back to the funny or the different, and it's neither.
Really?
So, yeah.
You don't think it's different? I think it's very different. Yeah, okay.
Period pieces.
And it's very funny. I love it. I think it's great.
I'm not saying it's bad. I'm not saying that. I if it's on, I'll watch it.
And so if you've never seen it before, if you run into somebody who's never seen it and asks you, hey, should I watch this show? What would you say?
I'd say, yeah, give it a shot. You might like it.
And take a look at the past.
Yes.
Go ahead and binge on this one. You'll get a kick out of it. All right, we'll be back and everything old is new again.
Don't know the future, but the past keeps getting clearer every day. I'm twisted up inside, but nonetheless I feel the need to stay. I'm twisted up inside.
Now, back to America's entertainment pop culture talk show. Everything old is new again with Douglas Viviani and David Cohen.
Jessica Jones, I saw you.
What do you want to know?
Can you punch through a wall? Stop a moving car?
A slow-moving car. What if there was someone else out there?
Welcome to Everything Old is New Again. We are adventuring ourselves into now the superhero genre on television. Shows that you may have overlooked that are entering second, third, fourth seasons that might be of interest to maybe binge and dive into. That was a clip from Jessica Jones, which is on Netflix, and David's a big fan. Why don't you dive in to tell us what that's about?
Yeah, Jessica Jones is a superhero woman. Again, these are all like the reluctant superhero types. She's incredibly flawed as a person. She's a private eye, but she's an alcoholic. And past that is very disturbing, which they're not totally revealing completely. But the actress is great. If you watch Breaking Bad, it was Jesse's girlfriend who, died from a overdose. But anyway, she's great in the role, and they introduced Nick Cage. It's all happening in the same city with Daredevil. And she basically fights this villain. David played
Tennant.
David Tennant,
Yes,
right, who was Doctor Who, who was phenomenal in the role.
He does a mind control.
Exactly, does the mind control thing. So the first full season of Jessica Jones is sort of getting to know her and David Tennant and Jessica Jones's sister. And anyway, just a great show. Trust me. If
now,
you
what's
watch
her
the first show,
superhero?
you will just watch it completely.
What's her superpower? She has mind control and some strength. Correct?
She has a lot of strength, yes, more than she realizes, and she has mind control. I won't give it away, but yes.
So
that's
they
basically
explore
it.
that. They find, is there an origin story, or you learn it as you go?
There's like a flashback. The origin story is like little flashbacks, little glimpses into, her past and Luke Cage's past. There's a relationship there too.
Right.
Just a great show.
All right.
Yep.
And eventually, I don't know if you mentioned, Luke Cage, Jessica Jones, and this next character are going to be explored, or let's just put it this way, are going to become part of a team called the Defenders.
It's going to have its own show. Right.
With 4 characters. There's a 4th one we haven't met yet. Let's take a look just individually at Daredevil as well.
Yo, let's catch Fisk. Now people all over the kitchen are getting hurt. Call it massive gang-on-gang overkill.
There's talk about an army in town. Tell me who they are.
It's one man.
They're calling this one the Punisher.
All right, so now the Punisher and Elektra, if you're familiar with Daredevil, were allies slash villains, it's kind of hard to say, of Daredevil in the comics, and in the second season of Daredevil on Netflix came to bear, and they did a nice job. You love the show too.
Oh yeah, I love Daredevil. It's been 2 seasons, right? And as you were saying, the second season they introduced those 2 villains, not villains, but superhero villains, but they become adversaries. Certainly, the Punisher and Daredevil,
right?
And Elektra, and it's darker than the first season. Daredevil and what's his buddy's name? The law partner, Froggy.
Right.
They're kind of on the outs. It's much more violent the second season, but again, just terrific. You watch one episode and you just have to keep watching.
And Bullseye, if you're familiar with the comic or the movie, even though it wasn't that great, Bullseye was one of the main villains in the movie, and the comic was a terrific villain. He's going to be there in the 3rd season and probably bring Elektra to the side of Daredevil. Punisher, I think, is going to be kind of put to the side. I'm just my guess. If they follow the comic book, he will, but they don't always follow the comic book in these shows. But anyway, so it's very interesting.
And who's the first villain with Daredevil? The bald guy, the millionaire?
The Kingpin.
The Kingpin.
Yes.
And what's cool is, so he was in the first season, and Kingpin also now appears in the second season as well.
Out of jail, or is in jail,
and in cahoots with trying to get on the side with the Punisher.
Right.
And it's all very.
And will guarantee, or I shouldn't say I will propose to you become an ally of Bullseye. So I mean, this is geeky stuff. You got to watch the show. You'll really.
You don't have to have the history of these.
No,
just watch the show.
Just watch it, enjoy it. Just like this one's pretty good.
This isn't your home, Barry. It's a mirage. It's already screwing with you and everyone you love, and pretty soon it's going to take me right down along with you. What should we call this brave new world that you've whipped up for us? I was thinking Flashpoint.
Now who's the villain, Flash?
This is a show that I did not want to like. He was a too pretty boy kind of a guy, a DC character I didn't respect really. Thought it was just a, kind of a okay comic book. But wow, they're, I think, really taking off. They're really doing a great job with the show.
Yeah, they are. They are.
Especially it's not, it's not a cable. It has to be
network
under
TV,
national TV. It's under, the CW network. And there's time travel, and the third season now we're entering where the Flash was able to time travel and change the events that he was trying to change for the first 2 seasons of his mom passing away and being killed by another kind of a Flash.
Right.
And so now he has that Flash in a cage. He tells him he's never going to get out, and the world changed. His mother lived, and he has a whole different life that he's going to live, the life he always wanted to live. Question: can you change the world by going back in time and changing events, or will the time clock eventually come back to right itself to what is supposed to be the fate of his life where his mom dies and so forth? I don't know. I don't think any of us know the answer to that question. It's a very big hypothetical, but they deal with this time travel in such an unusual way that you don't expect it to be done this well done the way it is. You tell me.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I mean, they could have taken the easy way out and just had, the adventures of Flash, you know, see him, chasing down bad guys every week, and that might have been okay too. But they've just made it so much deeper and more interesting. It's a great show.
Yeah, and the relationships that he has with different people in different timelines. This girlfriend that in one timeline he doesn't even know now.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. Yeah.
So they're trying to get them introduced and see what happens there. Of course, to me, all these stories have to have a human element with this interaction with people you care about. You care about the Flash, but now in his new environment, he doesn't have to be the Flash. There's someone else that's the Flash.
Yeah.
And is that guy a good guy or not? I mean, there's so many questions that they're throwing out, and then they're going to throw different villains at you all the time. They have tons of villains from the Flash to investigate and throw at you.
It must be really fun to write that show. There's just so many possibilities.
You can tell that fans, they got it right.
Yep.
They always get it right. Like they've never gotten the Hulk right. They got the Flash right. They are fans of the magazine, of the comic, obviously involved in this show. And it's great to see. Gotham, another one, really interesting.
I haunt your dreams like a ghost, for I know what scares you most. So come out, wherever you are. There's no escape. This is Gotham, after all.
Now, on national TV, not cable, they don't hold back a lot. This is a show now. They're going to the third season where they're calling it Mad, with a Mad Hatter who can mind control, and is going to, wreak havoc, along with, if you saw, the Riddler and the Penguin are kind of together now. It's very exciting in a way to see the dark world of Gotham, but characters are coming to life before Batman.
Right.
And Batman's basically a child. I guess, what is he, about 14 maybe?
Yeah.
And maybe even younger. And Catwoman or Catgirl.
Right,
kinda.
exactly.
So to see the precursor to how Batman got involved in all this, and of course Commissioner Gordon is now not even a police officer anymore, and he hasn't become commissioner yet. That's down the line.
Yeah.
So it's a great backstory, a great interesting idea of how did these characters come about. And there's, in the comics, 50 years of comics, you kind of know these stories, but they're doing it in such a nice way that there's, what would you say, there's great interest in what they're doing, or am I wrong?
Yeah, no, I agree. And what's, it's campy too. That's the thing people, you might not realize, you might not like about that, because, it's kind of dark and there's good stories, but a lot of it is just, it's sort of like tongue in cheek, some of it, but I like that.
It's a good mix.
Yeah.
We're back and everything old is new again.
This is Everything Old is New Again, America's entertainment pop culture talk show with Douglas Viviani and David Cohen.
Sometimes your worst self is your best self.
My strong suspicion is we get the world we deserve.
This girl's gone missing. Nobody cares. The interior's poisoned and suddenly worth billions. Nobody cares.
Welcome back to Everything Old is New Again. We're diving into the new TV season and trying to see what shows have been on the air for quite a while and might be, if you've missed them, might be, been overlooked and might be worth a try to take a look at. That's a little piece of True Detective, which has been on 2 seasons, and David Cohen and I think it's a great show. David, why?
Well, if you've seen season 1, which had Woody Harrelson and Matthew McConaughey, It was like a long movie and just such a great mystery, and just the way they told the story. There was a lot of flashbacking, and you weren't sure where you were in the story. But but it's basically the two buddy partners investigating a murder, and they just did not get along with each other the entire show. You completely believe that Woody Harrelson is this character and that Matthew McConaughey is the character he plays. No matter what kind of roles these guys have had in the past, you're totally buying who they are as these new characters. And that's what I really like about it. If these actors who've been around forever, they can create, and you forget that you're watching, oh, that's Woody Harrelson acting up there, that kind of thing.
Right.
That, to me, that's just phenomenal. So highly recommend that.
Especially for him, it's a real departure from, what have you seen him in, really? A couple of comedy movies and Cheers. So he's creating, it's easier maybe because it's totally out of his comfort zone.
And Matthew McConaughey's, he's not playing the pretty boy, the romantic love interest thing. I mean, it's a really gritty, very deeply disturbed character he's playing.
And that story ended, and then the second season, from what I understand, I haven't seen too much of it. Vince Vaughn and Colin Farrell are involved, so that's a whole nother element.
Yeah, and a lot of people say it wasn't as good as the first season, but I'm just saying, start with season 1, and you'll move on to season 2 because you're going to like season 1 so much.
And also think about that, bringing some huge names, big names, movies names, into the show for 1 year, and then moving on to the next set of names.
Right.
So it's kind of interesting. Also, we spoke about some comedies. There's one called Transparent, which we're going to talk about in a minute. But before we get to that one, what about? I mean, I know you were mentioning comedies before.
Yeah, two other comedies I want to mention real quick. Again, things that people might not have heard of. And we might be crossing the line here. True Detective was very popular. But anyway, Baskets stars Zach Galifianakis as a clown, a working clown, an actual clown. And Louis Anderson plays his mother. And I think would be up for an Emmy if the show had a little more viewership because it's that good. So it's a darkish kind of comedy, but very quirky. Highly recommended. Baskets, Louis C.K., produced it. Of course,
it's on FX.
He's got the magic touch. Yes.
Right.
And the other one, again, this comedy's been on for years and years and years, but anyone who I ask about it has not seen it.
Right.
It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Right.
Crazy, crazy show. It's been on for maybe 10 seasons already. Start from the beginning. I guarantee you're gonna have more than a few belly laughs. You're gonna be disgusted at some points. You're gonna shut it off in the middle, but it's worth sticking with it because it's just so good.
Now, the actor for Louis in Taxi is in that, correct?
Yes, Danny DeVito comes in towards the end of the first season, and he's one of the just best things about the show.
And he's in the show even till now.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
It wasn't intended to be that way.
Right.
But it was a bunch of out-of-work Hollywood actors who put together a funny sketch, sent it into Comedy Central, one of these networks. They loved the little scene they did, and from that scene, it became a series that has now been on for like 15 years.
Oh, wow. That's unbelievable. 15 seasons or years? Probably seasons.
Maybe 10 seasons. So maybe it's 10. I'm exaggerating. Maybe
but,
it's 10
it's
years.
not always a year or season. Sometimes they overlap.
That's true, yeah. Could have been
okay.
Longer in years. Right.
And then you got Jeffrey Tambor from
Transparent.
But also, what was he on before that? Hey Now. He was on the Larry Sanders show. So let's try that.
Well, one of the things I wish for is that you don't call me Mappa anymore.
Why?
I thought you liked Mappa. How about you guys can start calling me Mom?
You want them to call you Mom?
I would love that.
Now, he's a gentleman that is cross-dressing, I don't know how to describe it. But he now wants to be a woman. I don't think he's done anything physically yet to his body. But
well, part of the show is, you're right, they talk about the possibility of him going through the procedure. But
he has children.
Yeah.
And he was married.
Full-grown children.
Man.
Full-grown children. Right. Splits up with his wife over this. Highly dysfunctional family. Very self-centered. All the kids, the parents are. Everyone is very, very self-centered. But the writing is really, I mean, I'm in awe of how good this show is. And it's not a strict comedy at all. A lot of it's just, you kind of cringe at some of the clashes between the family members. I mean, it really, really gets really ugly. I mean, it could remind you of really horrible family situations you've experienced.
Right.
But somehow they pull it off, and there's underneath it all, there's love. And I think that's what sort of carries and helps you get through those harsh situations with them.
Is it always about his struggle, or are there other issues?
It's about the family's struggles individually.
Right.
And with his decision as well.
Right.
So it's
but it's not always harping
interplay
on that, so you get a lot of variety of issues.
A lot of variety of issues, yeah.
Okay, then we've got one that...
And it's won so many Emmys already, so I don't even know if it's like, one of these shows where nobody's watching, but it's only on, I think, Amazon Prime.
Right, so I don't think a lot of people are exposed to it really at the water cooler, let's say.
Right.
Right. Okay, so take a look at this one here.
Hawaii Five-0 is back with a chase so wild, so insane, so crazy, you have to see to believe. Seriously, new Hawaii Five-0.
All right, so now they're entering season 7. So this show is continuing and going on and on.
That's amazing.
It's a remake, of course, of the Hawaii Five-0 in the 70s.
It was on for, 20 years?
It was 11 years, I think. And
rounding up.
But it's got chemistry. It's got Hawaii. It's got cops and robbers. It's got chase scenes. If you go... Now, I'm tired of that. But there's a lot of people that are, new to this stuff that haven't seen, a lot of cops and robbers. Whether it's a little thinking man cop and robber, it's a little bit of a detective story that you got to kind of figure out. That are characters that are contemporary, that do have contemporary issues, divorce and so forth, and child support and whatever. Just the main characters and how that affects work and all. So and of course you've got these great chase scenes through the downtown Honolulu and things. So it's fun. I'm just such a fan of the original. I sometimes have a hard time of a really classic show or movie being redone. We've talked about this, and that's what Everything Old is New is all about. But this is in its 7th season. For some reason, people are watching it. I think it's worth a view.
Yep.
Just to see.
Yeah.
But we'll run out of time, so let's try one more.
I'm never going to see Nick again. You leave him alone, he heads straight towards death.
Okay, we need shelter. That hotel could be crawling. Better indoors than out.
The dead are walking toward their final resting place. The world is washed clean of death. I'm not back. We, the faithful, will remain. We have been chosen.
Fear the Walking Dead. The first season was okay. I kind of didn't like any of the characters. I kind of like the idea of at least being still in the world of The Walking Dead while it was on hiatus, so I stayed with it. Second season has now turned pretty good, and I would suggest that it's worth a view now.
Okay.
Once you've learned these characters, they've softened them up. They've made you sort of at least understand where they are. I'm not going to say but at least accept them now. You can have a potential of liking them. You see they've gotten different roles and different views of what they have.
What turned me off, though, in the beginning was I was so disappointed that the whole point I thought of that show was to show you the origins of how the whole Walking Dead situation happened. And that's what I was looking forward to. And I don't really think they went deep enough there.
Yeah, they've already gone beyond that. There's no answers as to what happened here, and there's just another Walking Dead.
But you're saying quality-wise, it got better.
It's worth it. Thank you, guys. Have a good night. We'll talk to you soon.
New again.